and the writers in the room, I know 2 of them at least will appreciate this. So the title of the book actually comes from a true story that happened when my daughter was 7 or 8. She's 17 now, so it's that old. And it actually was an entrance in the Chicken Soup for the Soul stories. It was the first time I'd ever written anything and submitted it somewhere. And it made it to the final round. It was, you got a letter, letter, we accepted your submission, and I think it was $150 at the time, and yeah, until the last second, they cut it. So, but anyways, I was so excited to like make it out of there and get that far. The reason I brought it up to the writers is I struggled for a while, as Karen can attest, as to whether or not to call the book Barbies in the Horse Bin. But to me, when I tell you the story, which I will, it sort of epitomizes everything that I've been saying and doing for such a long time. And the final straw for me, because if you're a marketing person, which I'm not, but search engine optimization, SEO, I'm learning, will never pick this up. This is not, no one would ever Google Barbies in the Horse Bin and find your book. And yet, there are all these really legitimate reasons not to call it this. But at the end of the day, I've had more fun with it being the title, including I've sent out a press release, apparently you do that, to some parenting magazines, and one of them in Wheeling, West Virginia, sent back and said, I would like to review your book, if and only if it is okay for Barbies to be in the horse bin, otherwise don't send it. And I laughed and I was like, not only is it okay, it is correct, let me send you a copy. So, it's just been a really fun ride. As Karen can attest, we talked back and forth, should I do it, should I not? I mean, I could have called it How to Raise an Organized Child, but I just couldn't. So let me just read this. I hear that authors read a little bit of their books with me. I look this stuff up,
That's how she Google searches it.
Everything about this book you can Google. That is the beauty of writing today. If you can't remember the use of a word, or, it's just the answers are right there. So, well, technology has its issues, it certainly is helpful as well. It's in part 5 of the book. This book is very much broken up into chapters and sections that are very short and sweet, sort of like my presentation. This section is How to Raise an Organized Child. And in section 1, the topic or inside chapter is called Think Like a Child. The quote, and I put quotes throughout the book, is, play is often talked about as if it were a relief from serious learning, but for children, play is serious learning. Play is really the work of childhood. Mr. Rogers. I'm just going to read a couple pages here for you. Play and work. You will be successful at teaching your child anything if you first learn to think like a child. Children are not miniature adults, and their view of the world is that of a child. Children learn by play. Play to a child, however, can look very much like work to an adult. Every new experience, challenge, chance to use their imagination, or expand their thinking is part of a child's play. While cleaning up the Play-Doh may not be as exciting as mushing it into interesting shapes, it is an important component of their play. Challenging different skills while doing jobs is the foundation of teaching the fabulous 15 organizational skills. The younger you start to teach organizational skills, the better. Setting the foundation for children to think organizationally will benefit them not only in school, but in life. Most importantly, however, remember that our children are not mini adults, and they see the world through a child's eyes. Barbies in the Horse Bin is a story whose lesson was taught eloquently and beautifully by my own daughter. A lesson I've never forgotten, and the one in which has the honor of titling this book, Barbies in the Horse Bin. As a former middle school teacher, I've spent many, many hours lecturing, bribing, and conniving students to be better organized. Middle school, while difficult for all the obvious reasons we can think of, adds a new feature of having to keep track of more stuff for more teachers. As a preemptive strike on the middle school years, I determined it was time to teach my child the value of being organized. It was time for my 7-year-old daughter to take charge of organizing her bedroom. Together, my daughter and I sorted, categorized, and donated her clothing. We carefully contained her precious collections and found homes for her many craft supplies. An avid horse fan, my daughter seems to have every version of plastic stallion, mare, and foal. She also has the requisite collection of stuffed animals and Barbie dolls. For the animals, Barbie dolls, and horses, we purchased 3 stackable bins. labeled one for each item, all systems go, she was set, a place for everything, everything in its place. Days later, on one of my laundry sweeps through my daughter's room, I noticed 2 Barbie dolls carelessly thrown in the horse bin. Annoyed, I quickly fixed the error and shrugged it off. At the end of the week, the same Barbie dolls were back in the horse bin. Irritated that my daughter was being lazy and shirking a simple organizational task, I confronted her. Didn't we just organize your room? You're supposed to take care of your things, not just drop them wherever is easier. Shaking the offending Barbies in my hand, I asked, why do you keep dropping these 2 Barbies in the horse bin? My daughter, with her large, beautiful brown eyes and a very confused expression, looked up at me and said, those are the only 2 Barbies who know how to ride. Love it.
That's my daughter's.
Out of the mouths of babes, as the saying goes, my daughter taught me a beautiful lesson that day. They are children for such a short time. Don't let the craziness of being an adult interfere with the natural beauty of being and thinking like a child. For any of the teaching methods, concepts, rules, etc. that you choose to employ with your children, it is imperative that you remember that they are children first and they won't be forever. Assess every situation or problem through a child's eyes. Organizing is not about perfection, it is about living better. Thus is the title. When I was at the final stages of deciding it would be the title, I ran into my neighbor at a bus stop and, did that quick kind of, hey, how you doing, rolled down the window. What are you doing? Oh, I'm running a blog. Or I think that she saw it, and she said to me, and this is going back the 10 years ago when I first started talking about this, she said, I remember that story. I know that. You remember it too? And I said, you have no idea how happy you just made me. And that was the day I said, that's the title of the book.